A toxic chemical made only in St. John the Baptist Parish is polluting the air, causing the biggest cancer risk in the entire country.
And the government has known about this for more than 2 years. But investigative reporter David Hammer finds officials and the community still can't agree on the toxic truth.
Neoprene is not exactly a household word, but it's certainly made its way into most U.S. households. The synthetic rubber is used in hoses, mouse pads, leggings, wetsuits, even Halloween masks. The main chemical used to make neoprene is chloroprene, and it's produced only one place in the country, here at the DuPont Denka plant, just upriver from New Orleans in St. John the Baptist Parish.
It's permeating the whole parish.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency says chloroprene is being released into the air here, and the chemical is likely a cause of cancer.
There's no place in St. John that has a safe level of chloroprene. Man, that is frightening.
Bobby Taylor formed Concerned Citizens of St. John when he saw rare forms of cancer and other illnesses affecting his neighbors and his family.
This family right here lost a father, and 2 of the sons are now affected with the same cancer. This family lost people to cancer. 2 of the people in that household lost people to cancer. I lost my mother and my brother and my nephew and my niece.
When the EPA became concerned about chloroprene emissions, Taylor suspected the chemical was behind the illnesses. The EPA set 0.2 micrograms per cubic meter as an acceptable concentration of chloroprene in the air and began collecting air samples around the DuPont Denka plant. Average chloroprene levels over the last 2 years are high, more than 40 times higher than the EPA's acceptable level in areas right next to the plant. But the highest single-day readings are staggering. 153 micrograms of chloroprene per cubic meter at the intersection of Acorn and Highway 44, 75 micrograms at the 5th Ward Elementary School. Again, the EPA's acceptable level is 0.2 of 1 microgram.
We were flabbergasted when we found out the elementary school was being bombarded with over 400 times the EPA recommended level.
The EPA does a toxic air assessment that measures the airborne cancer risk for every census tract or neighborhood in the country. The stated goal is to keep the risk of getting cancer from breathing the air to below 1 in a million. But the lowest recorded risk in remote areas of the Colorado Rockies is about 10 in a million. The EPA tracks overall cancer risk from air pollution on this map. Neighborhoods with a greater than 100 in a million risk are marked in red. Scan the country and you won't find much red. There are single points in places that you might associate with air pollution, like smoggy Los Angeles, or across the country in New York City, where the George Washington Bridge dumps all that traffic into downtown Manhattan. There is one cluster of red on the map, though, and it's in the New Orleans area, in St. John the Baptist Parish. The top 5 areas of risk in the entire country, and 7 of the top 10 are all right here, focused on one point of pollution, the DuPont Denka plant. And the risk levels here are higher than in other risky areas, and it's not even close. If 1 in a million is the goal, the neighborhood closest to the plant is more than 800 times riskier for cancer exposure over a lifetime. This census tract just east of the chloroprene plant has a risk of almost 500 in a million, and this one to the north of the plant is almost 400.
Maybe this is what caused my autoimmune disease, because how else would I get this?
Taylor's daughter Raven had a promising nursing career until she got a rare illness that's left her homebound, her intestinal tract paralyzed.
Why would I get this? Considering the location where I grew up and the plant, we just kind of figure it out. It has to be.
Not according to DuPont and Denka. DuPont invented neoprene in 1931. For decades, it said the chloroprene in the air was safe. But this DuPont memo, filed with the EPA in 1992, shows tests on dogs and guinea pigs 50 years earlier found chloroprene toxic, even deadly in high doses.
I have seen evidence that they knew about it since 1941.
Denka is a Japanese company that purchased the St. John operations from DuPont in late 2015. It recently asked the EPA to raise the 0.2 emissions target for chloroprene. The EPA said no, twice. The state of Louisiana, however, has been more accommodating.
Now, keep in mind, EPA still hadn't set a standard yet. It's mainly a guidance.
Louisiana Environmental Quality Secretary Chuck Carr Brown accuses some activists of overstating the dangers of chloroprene and fear-mongering. Environmentalists like Ann Rolfes of the Louisiana Bucket Brigade are firing back at Brown, a former Exxon employee.
Our state should be in there protecting people, and instead our State Department of Environmental Quality chief is calling people names, people who are concerned. He's in there defending industry, which unfortunately has been his entire career.
Brown says he's just trying to be fair to all sides and apologized for using the word fearmongers.
But again, I wish I had not used that term. But instead of, fanning the flames, we all need to be working together for a solution that's protective.
Protective of people's health only, or protective of the companies too?
Human health and the environment.
Okay.
That's what we're going to be protective of.
Brown and Louisiana DEQ did get Denka to agree to cut its chloroprene emissions by 85%. Denka says it spent $30 million last year installing new equipment to control the chemical releases. Brown says he can't set an actual chloroprene standard until he sees how much the emissions have been reduced.
Let me collect some more data. Let me see exactly what we're getting out of the back end. Then LDQ and EPA will agree on a path forward.
But neighbors say they've waited long enough.
We didn't know a lot about relating it to my disease until we found out how horrible the levels were. And then when I think about a doctor asking me if I had issues from childhood, I said no, but apparently I really believe I did.
David Hammer, Eyewitness News.
Now, the neighbors may believe the chloroprene is causing their illness, but is that real, or is it just their perception? David takes a deeper look at that issue coming up on Friday.